You ready? Okay, cool.
Because I like the premise behind
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to this public hearing. It's 5:30, technically 5:31. We're here to discuss, the public hearing for the draft 2045 comprehensive plan. I'm going to start it off with Herb Tyler, the Planning Commission chairperson, to lead this conversation tonight. But I'm going to do a few reminders for everybody. Just remember, a public hearing is understood to be a forum for people interested in the subject matter to be present, to present information to the City Council for its consideration as it deliberates an issue. It's not a forum for debate or argument between members of the council, opponents, proponents, or each other. And just a reminder, each speaker shall be limited to 5 minutes unless the City Council authorizes one extension of 3 minutes, and the presiding officer may terminate a presentation that is covering the same information as presented by a previous speaker. Such speakers shall be encouraged to simply state their agreement with the previous speaker and bring new information to the subject. Reminder also, we have ADA listening devices available with Jeremiah over there on the left as you're walking up. So I will turn it over to Herb. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council and public. I wanted to come and to give you an update of what was presented to us. City Council and Planning Commission have long been working on the draft comprehensive plan, and City Council and Planning Commission were the steering committee for many of these meetings. The meetings have had regular input throughout the community. There were community forums, there were online. House of Levine has done that, everything from trash can stuffers to individual meetings to everywhere else. That information was presented to the steering committee, which council and planning commission came, and House of Levine went back, and this is what you have before you tonight, and they have actually taken each and every idea that was given and the feedback that was given and put this into a document that's readable, that is understandable, and has met each and every objective that was given. And we can walk through some of these things together if you've not had the opportunity to do that. So let's take a look, and let's go to the next slide. You know, a lot of people don't really, you hear people talk about comp plan, and they really don't understand that by law, a comprehensive plan is really a blueprint. It's a big picture. Where are we at now? What is it that we have? What analysis do you have? But the comprehensive plan and all these elements engage the community, identify what the community's desires, needs, and aspirations are, and also assess what are the issues within the city. You know, we would love to be able to do everything that's on the CIP list, and I know y'all would too, and then we wouldn't have to think about it again. But that's really not how it does. And then it's a broad range of topics. It's really a policy. So here's a snapshot of where we are now, and it can change, it's ever flowing. I would tell you some of the council members who have been here and that were elected almost 4 years ago, does it look like it did then? No, it doesn't. We have to work and continually to update this. This is not a Bible that says X, Y, Z. It says where we're going, and it helps to guide where the staff's going. So now, it's just a foundation. Most people don't really realize it. The state of South Carolina has a law. It's Section Code Title 6, Chapter 29, and it limits the inventory of the existing condition, a statement of needs and goals, implementation strategies and timeframes. And one thing I'd like to say about that is those need to be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Too many times our aspirations are not time-bound, and here you're going to find out that it is. So let's go to the next slide. And the required elements: population, land use, housing, economic development, transportation, community facilities, natural resources, resiliency. And I want to touch on resiliency for a minute. A lot of people don't really understand what resiliency is. Resiliency is, are you ready for when Hurricane Helen happens? Are you resilient in your ability to provide those resources as a city Are you resilient economically to be able to do that? It goes across a broad range. The other part is cultural resources. What assets do we have? Where do we want to go? What we would like to do? What we'd like to see? And are we maximizing what we have? And then priority investment. The difference with the city of Clemson, you can go to the next slide, is there's one other element that we put in there, and it was up to city council to establish, and that is town and gown relationship. So the scope of work was establish where we are today, define where we want to go, establish a roadmap to get there. And that's the draft comprehensive plan. So let's get to the next slide. In here, you can take a look at the outline. And let's go to the next plan, the introduction. Go to the next one. You can take a look at this plan and key topics that we have right here. Again, you see town and gown over all things. And you know, it does make sense. Most people do not realize that we are a city beside another municipality. That is very rare, okay? And people go, what? I thought you were the city with Clemson University in it. Clemson University is not here. They have their own police, their own fire, their own power, their own water, their own sewer, and they have to look at these land use elements. The code that we just referred to does require us, which our city does a great job, to meet with them to see what's going on, because what they do impacts us, what we do impacts them, and we're not always going to agree, but we try to plan together when we do take that. So the plan key topics that you look, town and gown, sustainability and resiliency, you're going to see as a common theme throughout this. Sustainability, I'd like to address that. Sustainability is not just sustainability about environmental sustainability. People get that confused. It's sustainability with infrastructure, sustainability economically, sustainability in all aspects of what we're doing. So the planning process, if you take a look there, the existing conditions, let's get to the next page. The community profile in this chapter, what you're going to find out is that what happens, so take a quick flip to the next slide that you said here. You can look at Clemson as a regional contact. When you look at the demographic and the market snapshot, and as you can take a look, the population over time in Clemson, look how it's skyrocketed. But I would tell you the population in the upstate of South Carolina has skyrocketed as well. In fact, the population of South Carolina, 49% of all people living in South Carolina today have no ties to South Carolina. 49%. If you would have told me that 5 years ago, I'd have never believed it. That's what COVID will do to you. So growth is coming. If you take a look here, again, and a lot of this data is very important. The race and ethnicity, the housing, the income, the employment, the education. A lot of this data, and it's required to come from the census data, is where it's required from. And when you take a look at some of this data, you can basically take a look at the incomes and see that students are a big part of our economy here, because if they have their census data taken at their place of residence, you can see that they can report no income, and that's what happens. Yes, sir.
Your gentleman's behind.
Yeah, there you're here. So, but now I would like to turn this over to House.
We were just gonna let you keep going.
Oh, you had to ruin it, John. I mean, I was just sitting here
I was
going,
told by
well,
Nathan told me to do it.
Nathan,
What a blessing it is, though, to have a planning commission chair so invested in the comprehensive planning process.
Amen.
And I will say that goes for all members of the planning commission. I think Herb knocked it out of the park in the beginning when he said the
Good job,
planning
Herb.
commission and our consultants heard the feedback from our steering committees, which was made up of you and the planning commission, took that feedback and feel like they've addressed all of it within this. And I'm going to let Josh, our consultant from Housel Levine, take over where Herb stopped.
Just make eye contact with me. I'm doing it. You're clicking through, okay.
She's-
All right, well, thank you
she's
so
an
much.
ally.
Sorry, I'm a minute late here. But yeah, looks like we got through the intro to this. One thing that, we don't have to go back to the other slides, but one thing I did want to just mention, that slide that's a foundation for decision-making. That's ultimately what this, this comprehensive plan is for the city. It does a lot of things. It meets those state statutes and requirements. It goes through a lofty aspirational vision. At the centerpiece of the plan is the future land use chapter and framework, that ideal build-out scenario for the whole city. And there's a lot of components in this. There's some state-specific components, like the resiliency element to this plan. And it meets all those requirements, but ultimately this really is a foundation for decision-making for city leadership like yourselves, city staff, elected and appointed officials, businesses who are looking to invest in the community, and even residents who may be putting down roots into the community. So thank you again for getting us through the first part of that. Really, the community profile sort of captures the key demographics that you all were just going through, and some of the key takeaways from community outreach, and that all sets us up for this centerpiece chapter of the plan, Chapter 3, which is the vision and goal statement. The vision statement, we worked with members of this group here to make sure that this really tells Clemson's story. We paired it with a set of actionable goals. Again, these are concise, these are direct, written in plain English, and we have goals for town and gown and sustainability and resiliency too. In the land use and development chapter, and if you go to the next slide, you'll see we set up how the plan is going to be structured. In each chapter, you'll see the goals and key recommendations in a dark blue call out. You'll see the town and gown takeaways pertinent to that chapter in a dark orange call out, and the sustainability resiliency key takeaways in a dark green call out. The land use chapter, we started with some of the constraints and influences that are defining how Clemson's going to grow and develop over the coming decades. So you can see things like the population growth, the impact of the university, the experimental forest, floodplain, Lake Hartwell, the bordering municipalities. These are all influencing how the city grows and develops over time. There's a growth and annexation strategy. We worked closely with staff on this to make sure that this reflects where the city may grow outward over time. And on the next slide, you'll see the future land use map. So this really is the centerpiece of the plan. Over the last year and a half or so when we've met, you've probably heard me say that old comprehensive plans, this might be the only map you'd see in your document if you picked up a plan from several decades ago. This really is an important map in that future build-out scenario. What would every parcel be used for? So some big ideas here. We're looking at those previous plans when we guide growth and development. A prioritization on downtown and uptown for development and redevelopment, infill on vacant and underutilized parcels throughout the community, importance of coordination with adjacent communities and with the county, and then allowing for a greater diversity of uses in key areas. In the Housing and Neighborhoods chapter, again, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that same setup with the Housing and Neighborhoods goals and key recommendations. How does town and gown fit with the city's housing neighborhoods, and what does sustainability and resiliency for housing mean? You'll see topics, policy sections in here on things like availability, student housing, what's the difference between attainable and affordable housing for Clemson. Next slide. And then we pair that with what we call a residential framework. So drilling down from the future land use map, taking a look at just the residential areas in the city and breaking them apart and discussing them a little bit differently. Again, an older approach might be to just say all single-family neighborhoods are sort of the same, but this framework attempts to recognize that even different neighborhoods that might have once been all yellow on a map have different characteristics and different purposes within the city. Big ideas here, looking at attainable housing. How do we reinvest in and continue to support our established residential neighborhoods, which the community really values? Are there options for senior and intergenerational housing? The city's ways the city can continue to regulate those rental units, including appropriate locating student housing. For economic development, so where are the city's commercial areas, employment areas, the same setup at the start of the chapter, and then paired with, again, policy sections on things like business diversification, employment options, partnerships with organizations such as the Chamber, and then this is an interesting section, the major commercial corridors and the city's regional location and influence. Like with the housing chapter, we pair this with an economic development framework, so pulling out just where are the city's commercial areas in relationship to that overall future land use map, how do they differ? Again, if you picked up a dated comprehensive plan, you might just see these all colored red on the future land use map, but here we're pulling them apart and we're discussing how they behave differently in their context within your city here. So this chapter is all about continuing to attract a variety of businesses, supporting the local businesses and the great diversity of local businesses that you do already have here, expanding some of your sectors, taking advantage of the city's identity and promoting it as a destination, and then strengthening those key commercial corridors. For transportation and mobility, we can click through the next one. It's, of course, again, those themes that are threading through the whole plan. Taking a look at the existing roadway network and the capacity and the volumes that are on your existing roadways. Some of the key improvements, these are planned in some of your other planning studies, so this gets at incorporating those current studies that you have on the books or studies that are going on in the region. We get into some discussion of traffic management, parking, and then I think the next slide, yes, the bikeway and trail network. This was something that we had some discussion on in this room and with staff, as well as transit. So key takeaways, complete streets policy, considering all modes in your street planning, better access management along some of those key corridors. How does that work with those commercial areas? Conducting additional parking analysis may be something to consider in the future. Continuing to implement your current active transportation planning that you do have on the books, the bikeways plan and the trail feasibility study, those are reflected in this document. And then just continuing to strengthen that partnership between the city and the university for transit. For facilities, services, and infrastructure, again, the same dedicated goals and call-outs for this chapter. What are the city's existing community facilities? Things like water service, solid waste, and recycling. That was something that came up, that if that becomes feasible in the future, the city may want to consider looking at it again. And you can see big ideas for community facilities, services, and infrastructure here. Natural resources and open space. The city has a lot of open space and natural resource opportunities. Through here, we did a parks and service area analysis. We had some discussion about that. So that shows a true watershed to park entrances from the city's residential areas. We incorporate things like the importance of Lake Hartwell, the urban forest. That particular map was one that came out of a comment at the open house last time we were here, where a community member wanted to see more emphasis on the city's tree canopy, so we were able to bring in that vignette map based on that comment. And the environmental features and flood hazard areas. So again, incorporating the plans that are on the books, we want to continue to implement the city's Parks and Recreation Master Plan, As new development occurs, encourage them within a constrained area, of course, to incorporate parks and open space where they can, and continue to promote the city's access to Lake Hartwell and those important natural areas. And then the last core element of the plan is the cultural resources section. There's a section on community history and some of the African-American history here in the community. And placemaking, especially with a focus on downtown, what an asset that is for the community, and it's definitely a destination within the region here. So the big ideas here: continuing to partner with the city's key stakeholders, continuing to promote tourism and experiential retail in downtown. It's an asset now, and it's something you're going to want to see continue into the future. And building on the good placemaking that's out there already. Some of it's organic and some of it is planned. Continue those efforts. Lastly here, another requirement in South Carolina planning is a priority investment section. So this priority investment and implementation chapter, there's a strategy. One of the questions that you all may get when this plan is adopted is, how are we going to do all these things? Where are we going to get some funding? So here we have strategies and funding sources for investment. How is the city going to actually use this plan to move the needle on the important work that it has to do? And you can see here some discussion of zoning and funding sources. And then one thing that I want to call your attention to, we mentioned this last time we were here. The final piece of this is an implementation action matrix. So pulling all the should statements out of the document, distilling them down to their basic actions so that they're clear and direct, and pairing them with a prioritization timeline, and if applicable, a partner. So this is sort of an index to the overall plan document. So next steps after this, the adoption process will continue following tonight. If there's any final revisions that come out of this public hearing tonight and the council work session, House Levine is prepared, of course, to accommodate those. Anticipate there might be a few little final touch-ups to the document that may be needed. And then based on that final draft we're preparing an interactive executive summary and ArcGIS story map that's going to be built on the city's ArcGIS online account, so the city can continue to maintain that in perpetuity following adoption. So I'm here for questions and any input or discussion that you may have. I should be able to answer most of them, or if it's something that staff needs to weigh in on, they can as well. But I do want to say on behalf of House Levine that this is a very enjoyable process. It's been really good to work with you all, and I think it's been very rewarding. And this isn't a cookie cutter document. It's very specific to Clemson. Hopefully you all can use it going forward very successfully to do the work that you need to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Do you have samples of that interactive? I know you're going to do it, you're going to implement it later on if everything works out. But do you have samples of where you've done it with other municipalities? I'm just curious. The interactive.
Yeah, I can forward some to staff, and we have it in draft. We just want to make sure there's no final little edits.
That's a working document. I love it. So
It's
an active document that we can continue to look at. That's cool. So thank you.
It's perfect for people who don't want to flip through a whole PDF and want to read sort of the Cliff Notes version and maybe zoom in on a map, and then if they want to read the whole chapter, they can click the button and read the full chapter.
Yeah, we try with an executive summary, and that was a step in the right direction. Now you're taking us to the next level, so thank you. Appreciate it.
An editorial item, the Clemson Experimental Forest is now called the Clemson Forest, not experimental.
Okay.
It's either Clemson University Forest or just Clemson Forest, but they've changed the name officially.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Takes away a little of the mystery, but
a small thing in here, you've got the Housing Trust Fund mentioned, Indeed, I know we made a lot of progress on moving towards setting up a separate entity in that space. Are we far enough on that to mention that in here, or better to keep this a generic? There's a generic commentary about the use of a housing trust fund. It's not specific to us, but I love the progress you've already made on getting us set up. So to make it more specific to Clemson, just food for thought.
You're gonna have a work session at 5:30 before your meeting on February 16th. We're going to present you what that looks like. And the financial performance, the amount of money it will generate, the board, how decision will be made, that kind of thing.
Possibly you could incorporate it. I don't know.
We can work with staff on if any of that needs to be more specific.
That was also the same night as second reading of the comp plan. So if you like it, you can say incorporate it. You can adopt it with that detail included.
Another thing, in the same vein, we're doing such amazing things at Nettles and the Abernathy Park, and those things appropriately aren't in here. We might want to update some of the depictions of some of our park stuff to reflect how it's going to look when it's under Abernathy and Nettles are all done. I mean, like we have an inventory of like our parks and stuff, so it's tiny, but you could consider it. No?
Well, I'm not saying no, it's just,
Too much
what's the
detail.
old saying, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise, was something
Yeah.
I think,
happens and you put it on
That's
you
right.
put it in black and white, you're kind of
I think our intent,
obligated.
since, some of us were kind of here in the beginning on this, was that we were gonna take a 400 and some odd page document and turn it into a 100-page document. Well, we got close, under 160 pages. So, but again, it was to be a very, what I consider somewhat of an overview, more so than get into the depths that we were dealing with before with the other one. Now, some of that will be taken care of as you go through the various zoning pieces, and everything else will be done outside of that. The only thing that I see missing a little bit is that we had talked about, and this is going to be not exactly how this looks, should have almost like at the beginning of it, almost a fold out, which should essentially be a very brief summary of each of the chapters, so that you wouldn't have to go through the 167-page document to really get an understanding of the entire document, whereas it would be directly in front of you and a fold out or whatever the case. We've seen that done in some others that we but it's in each chapter.
Yeah, okay.
I'm talking about putting it all in the front of it. So it'd be almost a fold out type situation.
Yeah, we can look into something like that, and the
Interactive.
story map version
Yeah.
almost will do exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
It'll have a very short summary of the chapter. You can browse some of the key maps, and then if you want to click.
You can go read through the chapters. I mean, it's still very,
And I'll just add just the key takeaways, like you just did here. You went through each chapter and you said, here are the key takeaways. And I know there are numerous recommendations, which we'll all be working through, but just, I get where you're saying.
Right.
It's a synopsis summarizing the key takeaways. I think that was great that you just did that.
right.
That was
And
perfect.
that's kind of what I had in mind, but just be something you could literally pull it out and you could see this, and then if you wanted to go into detail, you go back there. It still wasn't too much detail. I mean, you could read through the document just in a few hours, the whole document.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, this would kind of, somebody was specifically looking for something, they go, boom, here it is, and then they could go dive further into it if they wanted to.
Other comments? Yes.
I came in on the tail end, but I think what we were talking about, John, was also because we wanted to, kind of similar to what Rock Hill does, is we put it on our website if that's possible, but that's where you can put those key takeaways, and so people would know where to go, and somehow or another be able to link to the actual document itself, so they can kind of see the synopsis without having to have this whole document in hand. But it would be those key takeaways from each section, and then if they have specifics, then they can actually go and see. But that's what we had talked about also, is to make it easier
Right.
with the technology today, instead of the
We don't want it to be,
document, but they can actually go to it.
we don't want it to be a document that sits on the shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or that a citizen opens the link and then they go, poof, no,
Yeah.
close it.
Right, right. So that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Other comments?
I have a question. This isn't
this is just for my own curiosity. Mr. Herb mentioned about the census with the population, that we have to take it from the census. Is that correct?
That is, you don't have to. That's up to the city, but that's definitely the most reliable.
The reason,
Population data
right,
source.
and the reason why I asked is they do the census, the major one every 10 years, and then don't they do a little minor one every 5
Yeah,
or so? I'm an economist. I'm just trying to put the puzzle together here with the census. You do the 10-year census, look at the growth we've had just in the last 2 to 3 years. That's not being captured 10 years, 7 years ago, when was the last census?
It's on the zeros, I think.
It's on the zero. So 6 years ago, thank you. 6 years ago. So I was just curious, like Mr. Herb was explaining, I was just trying to get clarification on that. So thank you.
It's, the census is every 10 years. The U.S. Census Bureau releases population projections in the interim years, which are pretty accurate. Some states release county level projections based on birth and death records. I don't think South Carolina is one of those states that does that, but that is one of the most accurate ways, because counties maintain those birth and death records. But yeah, it's a pitfall of the census, is that they only do it they really only do the real population count every 10 years.
In this document, supposed to be updated every 10 years?
You have a 5-year, you revisit it in 5 years, and then you redo it in 10.
So you could almost line it up with the census, quite honestly. Be the way to, make that happen.
Other comments? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're gonna open it up to the public. Reminder of what I said at the beginning, if I need to. This is your time.
Just in the census. I know they project it out. God bless them. But it's just 10 years is long.
It's hard to really collect that data, even with the census. A lot of people don't submit about it nowadays.
Robert Lee, I live at 113 Preston Drive, Clemson. A couple of things that came to mind. I read the plan and I did a word count. I found 136 or 38 instances of should. So this answered my question a little bit, that this translation of the should statements into actual things, I suppose what I said. But I was also looking more into some misunderstanding. I had a discussion with somebody, and they were of the opinion that this comp plan is the law, is a binding law. And I said, no, I don't think it is. So there's out there among at least, and this person was a previous planning commission member. So there's some serious misunderstanding about this going on that I would think needs some clarification for many people, at least some. So, and looking into that, I found this thing, another state had, it's called the consistency doctrine. It's how this, and I've just begun looking into it, but there's some thing that how consistent is the comp plan with the actual made into what's legally binding. So I think there's some need for clarification of that, at least. And as this former planning commission member, so there's some serious misunderstanding about that. That's the main point I had about it. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
That could be something, Andy, that we utilize our socials maybe to help with, a blurb about the purpose and the intent. And I know we've been communicating a lot over the last few months through this
It'd be better
process.
served if it wasn't called a comp plan and it was called North Star.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he said, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that blurb could be right at the front page of the description or the comp plan. We could put that in the comms on the website. Hey, this is not necessarily the rules, but this is the guiding
Where
light
start.
of where we're trying to get to.
And our start.
Well, he said it very well, foundation for decision-making for the future.
Yeah.
You could even
But
use
that's
that,
your
you
byline.
could use that line
Yes.
instead of the comp, we're taking your words.
But see, you gotta remember the
Do
last.
we need to quote you?
You don't have to, no.
Okay, all right.
But the last comp plan had all of the, had a lot more in it from that perspective. If you think about as far as the zoning and all of those various things were in that one, whereas this one's not gonna have that in there.
And it's actually in the guide that you gave us.
What
It's
was
in the
that?
introduction statement that you provided us.
Introduction says what this is.
It tells us what it is, the
Yeah.
purpose.
That's the key.
So
Put in
it's
that
already
blurb,
The
yeah.
foundation, yeah.
Yeah, we can include that in
No, I'm saying it's already included.
Foundation.
Oh, yeah, you've done your job.
You've done it, just
We're talking
highlight,
about what we need to do.
highlighting it.
The byline across the front, a long-term vision and foundation for planning.
Never mind. I will say anyway, it's a new year. I don't understand how a planning person could have gotten that mixed up, knowing what a comp plan is, sort of like a budget. You try to plan for the future, it's a guideline, so, okay. If they've been on the plan committee here, okay. I don't
Now it's
understand
our
that.
job to correct it.
Yes, now it's our job to correct it and make sure there's no misunderstanding, so thank you,
I
Robert.
will say some of the old comp plans list line items, like you're supposed to do this in this neighborhood, this in this neighborhood, this in this place, and this in this place. It's like a whole series of instructions
But,
that wasn't really
Right.
well followed anyhow.
yeah.
Right.
But the new one is nothing like that. So
No,
if they have
never
seen the
intended.
new one, again,
Yeah.
why are they,
Yeah, no doubt.
It was never intended to be, that's why it's 160 pages instead of 460.
Yeah.
That's great feedback. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Other comments? Yeah.
As planning chair, I just want to make one comment. One of the things that Nathan's too humble to talk about is his ability and his credentials in urban planning and everything else. And so, what I would tell you, it's been very clear to me, and this is the best way to get it in your mind. Comp plan is fluid. If something happens and all of a sudden we have no more money, X cannot be done. We had small group listening sessions defining what's the difference between a comprehensive plan and what's the difference between zoning, and also what the difference between the city of Clemson's ordinances are, which are basically a law. And they can incorporate a lot of those things. So the best way to look at this is an overall picture where we now and where we think we want to go now. And each department will work off the comprehensive plan. The last two comprehensive plans were 479 pages long. And now, I won't embarrass anybody here, but I only know one person that's read them cover to cover. And I'm standing before you because I asked that there. It needs to be realistic for the city to do, and I want residents to understand, all of this has been put in with all the input that's come in. It doesn't mean it can't change because something might happen. The reason comprehensive plans fail, there's a study that was done out of Rice University, is because of zoning. And that's the next thing that you're going to hear about from Planning Commission. The law tells us that's one area we're supposed to look at. And Jacob can tell you, you have planners here, expert people. But if you go through and it says they're going to do this, they're going to do this, that's not what it is. And so there's been misunderstanding. It is a law, and I will tell you this, that tells us we have to include those 10 elements and look at them. The law also differentiates between what the planning commission is supposed to do and the resources that they need and what a municipality is supposed to provide for that. And this, I want to thank y'all for following that and providing all of that here. So hopefully that helps clarify some of that. I think people might have got confused when they said law. The law says we have to do this. But I would tell you, and I won't be here forever doing that, it ought to be fluid and looked at in everything that we do, from every capital improvement project to everything else, and things can change on a dime. And the next part of it is to tell you guys that appropriating that budget for the zoning study is very important, because the studies show from major universities, the reason comprehensive plans fail and never get enacted is because that next part's not done. And that's, I'm up here lobbying for it and telling you, so in your budget, we need it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Herb.
Thank you. Other comments? All right. If not, anyone else from council? Okay. It is a little after 6:10. Okay, we reconvene within 5 minutes, 6:15? Little break. All right, so we'll reconvene literally 4 minutes from now, 6:15.
talking to
Yeah, so
people.
it's
Yeah, I'm ready.
well, the flight leaves tonight, so we just say the last night in Naples, to be at the airport. From Venice, from Tuscany to Venice is a train, but then from Venice to the coast.
Run it by me.
It's gonna be cold. It'll be
They're
cold all
like-
week too.
Hope it's snow.
We good? Okay. All right. All right, welcome to our city council meeting this January 12th, 2026. I hope everybody had a great weekend. We just finished up a public hearing. Now we'll start our regular city council meeting. We'll start off with the invocation and pledge. Councilmember Smith.
You're welcome to join me in prayer. I pray that we just continue to do what we're supposed to do, oh Father God. I just thank you for allowing us to be here one more time. I pray that we conduct business in such a way that we know that we take into account the best interests of our city, our members of the community, our business owners, and anyone that visits our community. God, just continue to watch over us, continue to give us strength, continue to love on us. I just continue to ask for peace as we continue to go through this time, even though what's going on in the nation. I just thank you for what we're able to do here in the city of Clemson. I ask for all your blessings. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, always have to think about it. All right, next we'll move into public session. I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Good evening, everybody. For the public session, we open the floor to members of the community to speak to us about anything that's not already on the agenda. Don't worry if you did want to speak about something that is on the agenda. We will prompt you at that time so that it's top of mind when we're on the topic. If you would like to speak, make sure that you sign in over with Jeremiah here on your left side of the room and then approach the podium. We do ask that you speak clearly. We are live streaming for the audience at home, and then we have ADA listening devices available for anybody in attendance who might need them. So Jeremiah, did anybody sign up?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any guests who'd like to speak? Okay, while we wait, I will, we have one comment that was submitted via the My Civic app. This was forwarded to all council members so that everybody has it as well. This comes from Miss Stephanie Platt at 103 Mountain View Lane. She writes, "Good evening. I have a few questions for City Council this evening. First, I'd like to know if the city will be doing anything special for celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States this year. I see that the city of Pickens has a beautiful logo celebrating this occasion. Is the city planning to do something like this? Second, there is a pothole at the corner of Pickens and Calhoun Street that needs to be fixed. It really needs to be paved instead of just filling it. After a while, that filling gets all over the sidewalk there. Third, you really need to remind people of the noise ordinance that the city has. Fourth, I'm enrolled in the city's crime report emails and was wondering why the reports of house break-ins on Calhoun Street didn't appear there. I learned about them from a Ring notification that someone reported. Thank you." And again, this is Miss Stephanie Platt on Mountain View Lane.
You will respond to her with all that, and just so people know, she brings up a good point, that software and that map. Sometimes depending on the type of crime or who's involved, it may give an approximate location or it may not give details. So it's, we probably need to do some messaging to explain what people are actually seeing sometimes.
Okay. Anybody from the public who wishes to speak? All right, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Next is possible approval of minutes from January 5th of 2026. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Good job. Is that your left hand?
No, this is
That's
right.
my right hand.
This is right.
I noticed that. It's got the chain too, love it. All right, next is the report and discussion. Remember, there's a 2-minute limit per speaker. First is to discuss the draft of the 2045 comprehensive plan. Nathan, this is your chance to come back up. You're on the item, so.
I am on the item.
You are, yes, sir.
I don't have much more to add from what you've heard this evening. This is a discussion time for you guys, but I will tell you that for 2026, in planning, we are keeping our foot on the gas. I'll let you guys, it's been asked what comes next. Obviously, Herb was pleading for it, but I will also say that a zoning study is what comes on the heels of that. I've had conversations or sent something with most of you and sent something to all of you that at Planning Commission, which is tomorrow night, we'll be discussing a neighborhood protection overlay for the downtown neighborhoods, and as well as a sensible height for downtown structures, which we hope the end result of all of that is to get Planning Commission and Council out of the plan development cycle that we're in right now. So that all doesn't have a ton to do with the comp plan, but it has everything to do with the comp plan, because the comp plan is the roadmap for where we're going as a city, and especially the planning department. With that, I'll let.
Well said. Thank you. Any other comments?
I'll just say, I think it's a beautiful document to look at, and makes me want to read through it, so thank you for the effort on that. I know that seems silly, but it makes a huge difference as a citizen accessing it. It is a lot of information. I think with the feedback from our workshop earlier, it'll be great to be able to just pick and grab what we need and run through it. And I do like to call out, I know that some people don't like that we harp on the town and gown relationship, but I find it to be extremely important because we share such a border with them, and every single day, our staff and our public safety are working with the university staff and public safety, and so like our lives are intertwined. And I have a very hopeful outlook for what we can do as a city with changes that are happening and this comp plan and university changes. I think this is a really exciting time to be looking at this, so thank you guys for the work.
Any other comments? All right. From the public? All right. I think that was very well said. All right, next we'll go in to receive a presentation of the City of Clemson's annual audit report for the fiscal year in 2025. Representative from Malden and Jenkins is here, as well as Leslie, so thank you very much. Thank you. Our planning department's leaving now. I'm just kidding. I wasn't really kidding. Thank you for your help. All right, Leslie, sorry. Focus is back on. Focus back on the audit and the fiscally responsible aspect.
I'm gonna let David introduce himself and tell his part and of the audit and where he, what his job in the audit is.
Absolutely, thank you, Leslie. My name is David Yusufera. I am a director with Malden Jenkins. I did the quality control review on the Clemson audit this year. The past few years, I've been the manager who oversees the audit, so very familiar with you guys and how the audit has been done the past few years. I want to thank you all for having us here so we can kind of talk about this. And if we just want to get started on the slides, we can start going through. I saw the first slide, that was just kind of a background of us on a firm, but you guys have, we've done this audit for a few years. I don't think you really need all that information. This slide here is the results of the 2025 audit. So that first bullet point is just saying that we performed our audit in accordance with government auditing standards and generally accepted, or auditing standards under generally accepted, auditing standards generally accepted in the United States, sorry. That's GAS, GAAS, and GAS, GAS. So our audit was performed in accordance with those. For 2025, we have issued a unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. That is the best opinion that a government can get, so, and we continue to give that. We also had our report on internal controls over financial reporting and compliance in accordance with GAS. We noted no material weaknesses in that internal controls, but we did note one significant deficiency. that was related to inventory in the water fund. That came about when we did our annual inventory count. We noticed there were just some some items that we weren't reconciling to what was being reported. So there was just an adjustment for 2025 for that, and everything else was fine. For the single audit, we did a single audit for the federal funds related to the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. No issues with that, no findings. Everything was good to go with that. Want to move on to the next? The next, we have some required communications. We have a few. I'm not going to read verbatim and go through every single one, but just a few that I want to point out. First, you have the significant accounting policies. This can be found in no one of the statements, and then it just kind of goes through all of the accounting policies for the city. And then also, the city implemented GASB statement number 101, which was related to compensated absences and how they're reported, and then also 102, which dealt with risk disclosures, which wasn't really applicable for the city, but it was implemented. We can move on to the next slide. I'd say the big ones here, relationship with management. We received full cooperation from Leslie and her team, and there were no significant disagreements with them and no issues whatsoever. It's always great working with Leslie. And we also found that there were no past adjustments, so if there was an adjustment, Leslie was, talked it through with Leslie and it was made. With the representation from management, we just requested a written representation letter from management just about the accuracy of the information in the financial statements, and it was received. So, next, the big point is auditor independence. We are independent from the city in accordance with AICPA professional standards. All right, so next we have the actual financial highlights. We have the statement of net position, which is going to be the government as a whole, and you kind of look at it like it's being reported as if the city was a business, where capital assets are recorded as assets and liabilities include your long-term debt, like your bonds and all of that. So you'll see total assets were $193 million, which included $103 million of capital assets. Liabilities of $80.6 million, and the net position, which is just your assets minus your liability, is kind of your leftover. It was $114.5 million, and then $25.3 million of that was unrestricted net position. This is just a chart that kind of breaks down the total revenues. You'll see taxes make up a big chunk, and the intergovernmental, so just grants that are coming in. If we can move on to the next slide. The composition of total expenditure, same thing, but just kind of shows where the expenditures are. You see a lot of public safety, wastewater, transit are all kind of the big ones there.
Could you read some of those categories? The print's kind of small, you guys.
Yeah.
So it's just me, I'm just old.
No, it was a little tricky kind of getting it on there, so it is smaller than it typically is. So you see public safety is that big chunk on the right there, the gray. That was about 7.8, I believe it says, 7.8 million. You have wastewater is the left gray, I think 5.7.
5.8 approximately.
Yeah, I think I need some glasses. You have transit's the brown one there, and that's around 5.2. And then I think the other general government, that's just kind of the all-encompassing bucket there is, I want to say 3.4 million. Yeah.
The other big one was water. Water's at 4.7 approximately, just FPOP.
And then this is the statement of activities, which is just the income statement for that government-wide activity. You'll see total revenues of 56.8 with total expenses of 39.8. So you had an increase in your net position of 17 million this year. 9.3 related to business type activities, which is your water, wastewater, transit, and parking. And then the balance sheet, this is for the general fund. This is going to take out those capital assets and those long-term debt liabilities. And it's just going to be kind of a cash basis almost. Modified accrual is what it's called. You have 25.4 million in assets, and then liabilities are 5.1 million, and that left you with a fund balance in the general fund of 20.3 million. 2.2 of it was restricted, and then you had 1.5 million that was committed, which left unassigned fund balance in the general fund of 16.5 million. General fund spends about $20. That number's not right. $20 million per month is not correct. I think that I must have just done the calculation incorrectly there. But if we move on to the next one, it's the total fund balance. Oh, sorry, the next bullet point. You'll see the 10.4 months of expenditures. That's the total fund balance in the general fund covers 10.4 months of expenditures, which is very healthy. And then unassigned fund balance, same thing, very healthy, covers 8.5 months.
What's the average acceptable, the 10.4
It really
days cash on
depends.
hand?
It really depends on the government, but I don't know if you guys have a specific policy, but
We do. We have a puzzle. Yeah, we do.
So our fund balance policy says that we need to have 6 months worth of our next budget operating expenditures.
Okay, nice.
At all times.
yeah, so we see these numbers and we think it's a very good spot.
Yeah.
10 months in a long time if you think about it.
No, it's not. But it's still better than 6.
So then we have, this is the income statement highlights for the general fund. 23.3 million, 12.3 million related to taxes for revenues. Expenditures were about the same. And then you have other inflows and outflows, which were mostly related to transfers from other funds. And with that, you get a total increase in your fund balance of 3.6 million for the general fund this year. This slide, we don't really have to get much into it. It's just new GASBs that are coming out. 103, which is mostly going to change how the MD&A is, what things are shown on the MD&A, and 104, which is disclosure of certain capital assets, not going to actually affect, to my knowledge, it's not going to actually affect any numbers, more so how they're disclosed in the notes. And then this, we can kind of go through this. This is just kind of, we offer advisory services, which we have done for you all in the past, so I think you're very familiar with that. And here we offer free quarterly CPE for all of our clients, so if you're ever interested in any of that, just reach out to us, reach out to Leslie, reach out to myself, or if the person is in the slide here, and we'll get you set up with that. But we, like it says up there, we appreciate the opportunity to serve you all, and if you have any questions or anything, feel free.
Questions?
I saw clean opinion, I was happy.
Yeah. I know this is everyone's favorite presentation, I'm sure.
I do have a quick question. At the very beginning, about the water fund, can one of you explain? That was the one that was off or something?
Right, so with it being a significant deficiency in relation to that is, we gave a report on the internal controls, and you can have a material weakness or a significant deficiency. Material weakness means we fully anticipate this will cause a material error at some point. And then a significant deficiency is more so it could. So it's just not as serious as a material weakness, but it still is something that should be addressed.
Okay.
And then I think Leslie can probably talk more about the inventory itself.
So we do not have an inventory system for our inventory that we hold for water and wastewater.
Oh, okay.
And so the actual items they buy and put on the shelf for them to use, daily. And so our practice has been that right before audit or end of fiscal year, they go out and count, meaning the departments individually count all of their inventory. And then we schedule with the auditors and they come out and count. And there was one pallet of meters that was, I can't remember if okay, that were missed in the count. So what the numbers we had given them was short. And so they called it, so we were able to, correct the entry to book
Very quick.
the
Okay.
inventory.
Yeah.
Right,
So
okay.
I will say that one of the things that Dusty has been asking for years is some inventory software. And Tyler has done some work on sort of a makeshift software, but you really need, for an effective inventory system, you have to have a person who really is the gatekeeper.
Sure.
And And we all know costs and benefits, and is the cost worth the benefit? And so this has been the first, we go back and forth kind of, we will do what we need to do and what y'all recommend based on what everyone is, saying we need to do. We probably do need a good inventory system, so, but it's all in funding and budget, so, anyway. But that's what happened.
My CEO used to say, instead of cost benefit, is the juice worth the squeeze? So, same thing.
Yes.
So, thank you. I knew there was a discrepancy. Thank you both. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? From the public? Robert?
I just have a question that came to mind. I know this last year the grants have been, I think, really significant part of even as much as tax base. I think it was like 30 million or something. Really. And I have no idea how that's accounted for in the budgets. I'm curious about that. So I'm going to look into that some more. And if there's anything you can help me out with.
Leslie will answer right now.
She's going to.
Every grant we get based on where it belongs, so like if it's a water grant, it's gonna be in the water fund. So if it's a grant for something that is being accounted for in the general fund, it will be listed as a intergovernmental revenue in the appropriate fund. So sometimes they're mixed in with other revenues we get from other government. So for instance, CatBus has government grants, federal grants, but we also get money from other governments. So sometimes that intergovernmental revenue is lumped together. But you can also, on the statement of activities for government-wide, revenues are split out between grants at the top of that. And if we had one, I'd show y'all. But anytime y'all, if you need some help, we can show y'all where to look.
Another thing is the majority of the grants we receive are on a reimbursement basis. So a lot of projects we have in the works right now, you won't see in the grants category because the expenses haven't occurred yet.
Absolutely. So essentially you have to provide the receipt for,
yeah. I just think it's wonderful we have that much with grants. I think that's great that we're helping.
All right, we'll just keep moving along unless there's other comments from the public. Let's go into the budget variances for fiscal year 2025.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Yes.
So according to the city ordinance, it requires that all departmental budget variances greater than 10% or $10,000, whichever is smaller, shall be reported to the city council during a regular council meeting. This one always just makes the most sense to go over it during this meeting. So, in finance, the finance department was over by almost $29,000. We moved a lot of money into some investment accounts out of our cash accounts, like our bank accounts. And unfortunately, to be able to guarantee a good percentage of interest rate over a longer term than you can get in a bank or even in the pool, the state pool, the LGIP is what they call that. There are fees associated. But I will say we had $1.3 million more in interest revenues in fiscal year 25 than we had in 24. So even though we were over by 29,000, not million, 29,000, we're in a better place and we have definite income over that term versus if rates were to decline quickly, LGIP declines as fast as it goes. So in the human resources department, we were over 69,000. It was primarily from the workers' comp audit. At the beginning of the year, you pay your workers' comp premiums based on estimates, and the actuals work more, so we ended up having to pay additional premiums.
So Leslie, for those two things, finance and HR, I anticipate those things are going to continue. So you're going to incorporate those in next year's budget, so we'll have the same variance.
Correct, but I will say, when we did 2026 budget, I may not have, know that we're doing 27 budget now. So if I say any of these again, it will be because we already passed that budget, when we really know these numbers. But we do work hard at trying to make sure we incorporate those. Culture and recreation has to do with CAM and the Sincerely Daniel exhibit. So the way our financial statements for the general fund are recorded or reported, capital outlay is separated out of all of the departments and shown as one line item on the statement of revenues, expenditures, and fund balance, changes in fund balance. So our original thought was that we budgeted the Sincerely Daniel exhibit in capital outlay in CAM's budget. However, it did not meet the classifications of a capital outlay based on the length of time that it will be an exhibit. It had to be more than a year. And so it's only going to be a year, so I had to reclass that into an expenditure line item. So their budget without capital outlay was over budget. However, their total budget was under $140,000. It's just how it's categorized on the financial statements. Debt service, and you may see this again next year, because so GASB 87 and GASB 96, these are newer GASB statements that we must comply with. And when we sign a lease or a subscription-based IT agreement, sometimes it was difficult to determine what those outlay, because it's not really an outlay, it's an accounting standard that requires us to record it as principal payment, even though you've been making monthly payments. That's not, it's a recording and reporting function. I will say, we will have it right in fiscal year 27, because if you look at my copy over there, I already have a little note that says what I'm supposed to budget in that line item for all those. So we should be good, but it truly is just where it falls in the departments and in the reporting. In the local accommodations tax line item, which is different from the state aid tax. So I wanted to point that out. This is our local accommodation tax fund. We had budgeted for the Christmas tree drum that everybody loves out there in fiscal year.
It's worth it.
Yeah. In 20, we budgeted for.
Oh, now it's okay. Since she likes them.
So we had budgeted for in 2024, but it was delayed delivery until fiscal year 25, so that's why that line item is over budget. And we wouldn't have known about that during the budget process. I mean, we'd have already been done. The emergency telephone system, yes, this is less than 10,000, but it is more than 10%, so $5,209. We missed paying an annual maintenance in fiscal year 24, so when we played catch-up, we were over. And then the last item is it's called the Public Arts Fund, but it is its classification is called tourism. It's over by $11,000, almost 12, and it's basically the butterfly project. The bulk of the costs were in 25, even though it was budgeted in 24, and so it crossed fiscal years. Any questions?
So even as the amount was right, the year was wrong.
The timing.
So here's the thing, when you look at that situation, you didn't spend it, so it became part of fund balance, and then you ended up using it the next year either you didn't spend as much, like we, overall in the general fund, we were under budget for the whole, all of the departments in general fund for sure. So that hence the $3.5 million of increase in fund balance.
Other comments or questions from the public? Well, Leslie, thank you very much. Please express to your team, we appreciate all the help, the work. I know it's a tremendous, and thank you for keeping us fiscally responsible every year. So thank you. I know it's a whole team effort. Next is to discuss the nomination process for Black History Month and Women's History Month. Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, as you all know, we generally do a recognition of our Black History Month nominees as well as Women's History Month. So we want to go ahead and start that process early. And so you see that we have nominations due in order to have the proclamations ready by the February 2nd meeting. So we're asking for nominations to be turned in by January 26th. And then same for February 16th to have everything turned in by February 9th. And then the same goes with the Women's History Month. So what we're trying to do is open it up to the public, but you also can recommend nominees. You should have, if not already, the ones who actually have received a proclamation already. And we wanted to try to see if, there's a way to ensure that we're not recommending the same people over and over again. But it's been started in 2021, so there may be some that have done some things that we may want to recognize again since 2021, but just have to really truly have done something extraordinary differently than in the past. And so just wanted to make sure you all were aware if there are any questions before we start advertising that and putting that on the website. So just wanted to make sure that start spreading the word. Yes.
I remember last year, not all of them were living, but we brought in their families.
Yes, yeah, so it could be someone who has passed, but we do want to recognize the work and efforts that they have contributed to the community as well.
Comments?
I'll start spreading the word.
Comments from the public? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the question, it seemed like every year at the last day of February, we do an event for the Black.
Oh, yes, that's. We're actually going to meet tomorrow. I was going to make that announcement at then we do the council remarks. But anyway, if you want me to talk about it now, I can.
Well, that and I got to ask you another one too, so go ahead.
Okay. But it's, we're meeting, Morgan, myself, Adrian, Rhonda, Thomas, and then we're also meeting with Jaquel and DK because we're going to try to make that a celebration since this is the last month for the Sincerely Daniel exhibit. February will be the last month. So we're trying to host the event back at CAM. Okay. And it will be on a Saturday instead of during the week. Okay. So it's going to be the last day of the month, February 28th.
Okay. And then the other, if the city, because Juneteenth got kind of lost in transition last year, is that something?
We'll come back to you on that one. Let me get through February.
I got it, but let's don't lose sight of Juneteenth.
We won't.
Inside would be really good.
I know that's what you say, but it may not be inside.
And I can add a little bit on that because I know Morgan, she's starting to work on that with Devereaux at Clemson. And remember, we got the email today from Rhonda. I'm looking at Andy.
Yeah, conversations were already.
Yeah, the conversation, so it just started today, to your point, yes. And then y'all be talking about tomorrow.
Making sure we're not stepping on each other's feet.
Yeah.
Right. No, I got that.
We'll talk tomorrow, yeah. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. So I'll have more details. Say it again.
Oh, listen at him.
They're still doing that at Henderson, but that's Clemson University. Just
we had a joint one there one year.
We did.
So yeah, just
Just put him on the committee.
But we will. You want to join the committee?
Thank you very much. Appreciate comments from the public. Okay. Next, we're looking at discussing declaring patrol vehicle surplus, and we have service weapons surplus as well, and this is not the chief, it's Matt. I hear the chief is sick, is that correct?
He didn't sound good when I talked to him.
Okay, I hope he feels better. Thank you for being here, Matt, we appreciate it.
He's,
The Christmas
got
party,
the-
it was Gooch, wasn't it? He
Yeah,
said,
Gooch
when
stood in
the
too.
top
yeah.
three are
We've got
gone.
something going around the office. So.
Yeah,
Well, we appreciate you being here.
yeah,
Yes,
thanks,
sir.
Matt.
We have 6 cars and that we replaced, plus 1 unmarked car. We've got 6 old cars, one's 2015 and one's 2016 that we want to surplus. Those will probably be sold on Gov Deals. And the next item we want is we've got service weapons that we have replaced. We've got 42 total guns that we want to surplus. The value is roughly $10,800. Those guns will go back to the dealer.
Go back to who?
They'll go back to Glock.
Okay.
Really?
They repurpose them. Repurpose them? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they do something with it.
Yeah.
Curiously,
Gotcha.
if they get into distribution again.
Yes,
An
they
event
will.
occurs, is it
They will.
traced back to us, and we used to own the gun?
No, we release, once we trade them in, our liability's done with them.
So if they go back to Glock, it shouldn't be a problem.
Correct.
Yeah. And they put you off the
Yeah.
serial number?
No, they don't do that, but,
You've been watching too much. What's wrong
She's
with
bringing some shows.
Something's in her water.
Questions?
So why,
Yeah.
I'm curious, why are you turning in the weapons?
we purchased.
Old or,
So, yes, some of the guns are about 4 to 5 years old. We purchased a new weapon system that we're going to,
okay.
and that's part of that deal,
Okay.
to purchase this one.
You trade, okay, that makes sense.
Other questions? Oh, yep.
How about the cars? Do you have a approximate value with the cars?
We have one that does not run.
Oh, okay.
We have 5 that will run, but they are, at their age, they've been driven by 23, 24-year-old officers and everybody else, and they have lived a good life.
They've been rode hard and put up with.
And they don't match our pretty new ones either.
No, they don't match the pretty new ones.
Just saying.
Wouldn't it be good if it could be like a training wheels or a
We
training
have-
tricycle
we have-
for
we have
the
gotten-
23-year-olds?
We've gotten all the good out of them.
Okay,
I said, that's a long time for a
yes,
patrol
it
car.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, it is.
And they're at the point now to where it becomes, it's not cost effective to try to
Oh, sure.
repair cars like that. Because usually things that go wrong at that age are major issues, so,
They'll go get it
Don't have
done.
to keep fob,
yeah. they-
those things.
Well, I'm thinking about all the equipment in those cars that might need maintenance.
When you think about the service weapons, you think the average officer, they never ever pull their gun, but they shoot them a lot in training.
Right.
So there's a lot of rounds going.
And they get beat up. I mean, it's, officers carry them all the time, and they get beat up and weathered, and, it's sort of, that's one of the things that, God forbid, you never have to use it, but you want to make sure that it's a really great functional piece of equipment. And the cars are the same way. If, hopefully that when an officer really needs his car and gets in it and cranks it up and runs and operates correctly, that, that's an important piece of equipment.
True. All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions from the public? We appreciate it, man.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Matt.
For stepping in, appreciate it very much. Next is our staff reports. Andy?
I'm gonna let Lindsay Newton kick off staff reports.
Did she know she had to do that?
Gonna
We've
let.
talked about this for a week.
Okay.
In preparation for budget discussions, just want to let y'all know that sponsorship applications for events are due by the 27th of February. So any of the events that are typically in the budget, they need to have their applications submitted by the 27th of February so that it can be reviewed during budget discussions. I can say that Red Hill Fun Day has already been contacted and they have the application in their hand. Unity in All Communities has the application in their hand. Ms. Clemson has already submitted their application. And that's where we are on that. So
I
if
was
there's
going to
any-
ask if we were contacting people,
Yes.
so that's great. Okay,
Yes, but if you have any,
So as a general question, I know we don't want to invite tons, but do we publicly announce that, like through public, so that, I think we get the same people every year, they know to reapply. But when do people
we have never
generally know?
publicly said that there are funds for sponsorship. You know, I think that the applications that are submitted will be reviewed for budget discussion. Y'all will allocate, and then there will probably be some undesignated funds in that line for applications that may come in, new events or applications that may come in after.
They're largely recurring events that were approved by council at one time, and then last year you guys said, let's reevaluate this whole process and let's reevaluate the events, make sure they're all appropriate.
Right, yes.
Because an example, some of them might be more appropriate for an accommodations tax request rather than this kind of support.
That's kind of what I'm saying, so there may be things out there that they're not even aware that are more appropriate for our support, that they're not even aware they can apply for it. We don't want to invite thousands either, though, so it's a balance.
This is a reset button.
Okay.
Pretty much carryover from previous councils, and the events have been successful year after year, and y'all asked us to push a button, and
Point of clarification, though, the applications that are coming in would be for
The
fiscal year
next fiscal year
27.
that starts July 1.
the reason we're starting now is because some of those events are in July.
Right.
And we want the
Right,
planners to
right,
be able to know what they're working with.
Well, I was just trying to make that clear, because people may, think it's this spring, but it's not until July, it's when they receive the funding.
Typically, the sponsorship applications are reviewed quarterly if the one comes in out of cycle. Okay.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you very much.
I can verify that our SCORF grant was verified. We did receive $172,000 from opioid recovery funds. And Clemson has already prepared their application. I reviewed it this morning. It's as advertised. Very good, and they're gonna have that done within a year. That request was for $150,000, and that's gonna be due on the 31st of this month. Brush grinding and recycling is closed for 2 weeks. We're fixing the concrete pad, repaving it. And a couple of dates for you. On February 2nd.
Andy, go back. Did you say you're starting that Monday?
Started today.
Started today. That's what I want to make sure. Yep. I had that note as well.
We think
So
it's
that's
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. Thank you.
But
Go ahead. Sorry.
as cold as it is today, they probably didn't pour anything.
I wouldn't be pouring at the temperature.
Yeah, I mean, so,
Gotcha. Okay.
you know, this time of year is tough.
Typically, it's gonna be mid-30s and rising to even pour, and then you gotta insulate it overnight if you don't get it.
That's really hard.
Probably not going to happen the next three
And there's
days.
heavy equipment on that stuff, so you really don't wanna mess around with it, take a rest.
And then it takes time to cure.
So 2+ weeks, weather permitting. You were saying dates, February
Yeah,
the
I'm
2nd?
scheduling a Community Action Fund work session at 5:30 prior to the February 16th meeting. And this has to do with the funds that Dr. Cheryl was referring to earlier.
February 2nd or February 16th?
16th.
Okay, so nothing's on the 2nd?
Well, you do have something on the 2nd. That is going to be an executive session to discuss the city attorney's contract.
The annual discussion.
Right.
That's after the meeting?
But that's after the meeting.
Got it.
Well, towards the end of the meeting, I'm sorry.
Oh, it is, okay.
So, yeah, that's not
Executive
a,
session.
yeah, that's
The reason those are at the end is because you have the choice to take action on whatever it is afterwards.
And we want to do that after he's given us advice during the meeting.
I won't be in there for that, unless you want me to be.
I'm just saying, that's why we don't do those before the meeting.
makes sense.
So the second is executive session, but
Correct.
February the 16th is at 5:30
Right.
for a public hearing or work session?
Work session.
Work session, sorry. All right. On housing,
We've been working with the Clemson Community Foundation, and they've set up a way for you guys to, a sustainable model for how to use the money that people have been investing in low to moderate income initiatives.
okay.
That's exciting.
Anything? Any other dates?
You have anything? Okay, that's all, Mr. Mayor.
all right. Thank you very much. All right, next we'll go into policy action items, or item. It's a 2-minute limit per speaker. First is consider approving a contract with Clemson Cooperative Extension Service to remain a member of the Anderson-Pickens County Stormwater Partners. Dusty, you're standing up. You're ready.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, last week, we, come to have a discussion about a contract with, Clemson Cooperative Extension Service. We had a small discussion, a few questions about it, so today, or tonight, I'm here to see if council will consider approving a contract with Clemson Cooperative Extension Services to remain a member with Anderson and Pickens County Stormwater Partnerships. Again, this partnership accomplishes 1/3 of our permit requirements. Also, I do have Ethan here tonight for any hard questions.
He's ready. It's looking down, but that's
Last time
okay.
it was
No eye contact. That's okay. All right. We appreciate it. Questions?
So nothing
Comments?
has,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, nothing has changed since last week?
Nothing has changed.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
For clarifying that. Thank you. All right. Comments from the public? All right. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the contract with Clemson Cooperative Extension Service to remain a member of the Anderson and Pickens County Stormwater Partners.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor, raise your right hand. There you go. Appreciate that. You know, you don't get to use that. Well, you'll get to use it possibly. Yeah, after
I got
executive.
like a month in this thing.
You'll get to use it for a while. There you go. All right, next is mayor council reports and comments.
Andy, while we still have a group here, your skate park news is really great news. You would announce it. They won't be here when we get back.
You want to announce it? That's what she's.
Well, I mean, now we're having this cold snap and everything, but, you know, it should be open by, what was the end of this month?
We're a little ahead of schedule.
We're ahead of schedule. There
We're
you go.
well ahead of schedule,
There you go.
Yay.
like 2 months ahead of schedule.
Wonderful.
That'll make the skaters happy.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Other comments, reports?
I got something.
Yes, sir.
And I've talked with Andy a little bit about the ordinance on abstaining and on voting. And I've talked with a few people about it. Wanted to get a discussion going about the abstaining from vote was changed to be a no vote on the recording without somebody taking a no position on the vote. And I believe that should really be moved back to being recorded as a yes vote so that you're not getting in the way without taking the position of I am against something. Does that make sense? And that's the general way it was always done before in Clemson, and it's to my knowledge, the way is more common that most cities deal with abstaining. And I think we also.
That's the way the municipal association recommends that it be.
Yeah.
An abstention count in favor of.
So we're moving back to the way they recommend to do that. The other thing was to talk a little bit about recusals also, because I do think it's important to make sure members not present in recusals if there is a conflict of interest or a perceived conflict of interest. If you recuse yourself, I believe the way it was set to be on some other boards was that those votes were tallied based on the simple majority, instead of recording a no vote for anybody who doesn't show up. Does that make sense?
No.
I'm looking at Jeremiah.
Sorry, that did not
Well,
make sense.
Putting you on the spot. No.
Well, before
You want to think about it?
I wanted to ask, so I understand the point. You're saying if I were to recuse myself from a vote for whatever conflict, that I would have a vote recorded as a no vote, or would the majority become smaller?
The majority would become smaller.
Right,
That's
that's what it should be.
But there's been some discussion among council that it was actually recorded as a no vote.
Well, that's not what recusal is
If
it?
you read F under that part of the code, it implies that if you're not here, it says if you're not here, it would count as a vote in opposition of.
Well,
Even if you
but-
recuse yourself?
But not being
Text
present and being recused,
Yeah.
I think.
two
are
different
Right, that's two
things.
different things, right?
Yeah, totally two different
But it
things.
sounds like this would be an opportunity
So,
to clarify.
to
I
clarify
just
that,
figure if
yeah.
we're gonna do, I mean, what we looked at on the ordinance for the abstaining vote is a one-word change.
Yeah.
It's a simple change to go back to what
The
municipal association says to do. I just thought we ought to address recusals and absentees at the same time, because it's probably a word or two that we've got to look at to make sure that everybody's happy with how that works. And that we follow whatever the standard, preferred standard is for a municipality.
Write it up,
So, yeah,
James.
well, and I'm gonna, would you have enough time, obviously, first meeting in February? Does that work, to kind of have the information?
To work
Would
on
you-
this, yeah, that's something that Andy's been working on.
Okay,
so-
perfect.
Since we went back to back, we got
Oh, yeah, we got weeks.
Okay,
So-
perfect.
I- Can I just please make sure I understand what you're asking? If it's a recusal, then we're gonna go, the majority gets smaller. Instead of 7, like when I recused myself from the Clemson Park because of conflict of interest, it went to 6
Yep.
instead of 7. With absence, you're saying that someone is not here because they're absent on vacation or whatever, and there's a vote taking, then that would be a no.
I was saying, I thought it should go to the simple majority.
I think so too.
Oh, okay, that's why I was asking, I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it should be a simple majority. I mean, I don't think, just because I'm sick or wherever, that shouldn't be counted as a no vote.
Well, I agree.
Well, I was gonna
That's
say,
for a quorum, right?
Yeah, and the whole point of a quorum is that you have enough people to actually have a majority to vote.
Right.
So if you don't have enough people, it shouldn't be a way to game the system by not showing up and getting no votes recorded,
Exactly.
right? You're taking a
Yes.
position without being there.
Correct.
Please,
Okay.
yes.
the way it reads, except in the case of conflict of interest, all council members shall vote on all questions. When a council member is present, whether physically or electronically, abstention or failure to vote shall be counted in opposition. So if you're not here, you're not counted. It says present physically or electronically. That is the only time that your vote will either count as a no if you.
Yeah.
So,
And I just wonder-
okay, so if you're out because you're sick or you're not here, then your vote is not recorded because you're not here physically
So,
or
it's
electronically.
a smaller
So it's a
majority.
smaller majority. So we're okay there.
And all I was talking about is making sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what's going on and we're all happy with how that voting system works. And if there's a tweak that needs to be made to the ordinance to get it there, that was kind of what I was looking
I
for.
think it's that one word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it.
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you.
Other comments or new business?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like for this to, I'm going to say this so it can be on the record right now, but I would like to take a moment to address some of the comments that have been made before us over the past few weeks. And some of these comments are just not correct. Yes, we do come to council with written statements before a vote. It's not unethical or against the law, and in my opinion, shows how seriously we take the responsibility of this position. It needs to be emphasized that the written statements are read before the final vote. Most of us on council spend hours looking at data asking many questions and getting input before a major vote. In other words, we do our due diligence. Why would anyone want a council that starts their due diligence right before the final vote? We might as well flip a coin. Also, like to point out that many residents come before us have written statements. If I agree or disagree with their statements, I certainly don't consider any of them to be unethical. The City of Clemson gives plenty of opportunities for public input. In fact, more than most other upstate municipalities. So this council has been accused of not listening. I remember well the lady that stood before us that was emotional. I did listen, but want to point out that that was not the first time I or many others on council had had contact with her. Many phone calls and emails went back and forth about the 398 project long before the time of the final vote, and she spoke. Also want to remember, just because a vote doesn't go the way you want it to go, doesn't mean that we, as a city council, are not listening to your concerns. And I also want to end with this. Listening is a two-way street. Thank you very much.
All right. Other comments, new business? All right. If not, next would be the, we were actually, this is, it would be for the next council member meeting, or you can submit it online. So next is the possibility of going into executive session to consider appointments to city boards and commissions, accommodations tax committee, parks, rec, arts, culture, tourism committee, sustainability, South Carolina Code Section 3470A1. Also is to possibly discuss the fleet-free clinic sublease agreement with Healing Bridges, South Carolina Code Section 3470A2. So would somebody like to make a motion?
Second.
Comments or discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much. We will be back. All right. So would someone like to make a motion to go back into regular session?
So moved. Second.
Comments or discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much.
We're all waiting.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint 4 members to the Parks, Recreation, Arts, Culture, and Tourism Advisory Committee. First, Mr. Bill Caraway, Mr. Michael Steele, Mr. Robert Kemp, and Mr. Brad Roth. All for 3-year terms, apologies.
Second.
Okay. Comments, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint 2 members to the ATAX committee for each for terms of 3 years, Marianne Hill and Charity Poland.
Second.
Comments, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much.
I would like to nominate Robert Ellsworth for the Sustainability Committee for a 3-year term.
Second.
Kind of tie. Okay. Any comment? No, next. Discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, thank you very much. And then we also did have the free clinic. We have nothing to report on the sublease agreement. We have nothing to Healing Bridges, nothing to report at this time. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Comments? All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.